4. Wait, we got 4 people watching already.
Yeah.
For anybody that's in
Hi,
the chat,
guys.
anybody that's in the chat room, say hello. All right, so let me grab this link. All right, so I gave them how to get into the Zoom room too.
Brilliant.
All right, so anybody that's listening right now, you are beginning to see the brand new beginning of a broadcast. We're going to be doing light language and stuff. So just to get warmed up and stuff. So everyone, this is a test stream. So we are going through the practice. Yeah, Michelle, my PA is saying we look great. All right, everyone. So this is going to be a way to practice your own light language. Okay. So a lot of times we do this. So let's just do something very simple. I just want you to go qui akli.
Qui,
akli.
Nak kli.
No.
Qui, nakli.
Akli.
Akli.
Okay, that means I have prepared myself and readied myself for a higher form of expression. Okay, the next part, dinaka.
Dinaka.
I am present. Inaka.
Inaka.
We are present. Yo naka.
Your naka. I've heard you
We
say
are
that
all,
a few times.
Yeah, we are all a presence. Okay. Na aka.
Na aka.
A unique expression. Now. Waki nata.
Wati nata.
Ushdiata.
Ushdiata.
Waki nata.
Waki nata.
Ex noik.
Ex noik.
Wahita.
Wahita.
Okay. What did you feel out of those words?
I felt like I was disentangling from things around me, or disentangling of like responsibilities, and it allowed me to feel like nice and light and into a nice, say, stream. So it felt like throwing away a few baggages around me and lifting my energy. It was beautiful.
Felt very peaceful.
Yes, very peaceful.
Mm.
The greater energies that are at work here. Hold on, I've got the double image screen going back and forth. I got the YouTube, which is out of sync, and then the Zoom room over here.
5 seconds later.
and I'm light languaging and multidimensional thinking. Wait a second, door's not aligning. With that as a metaphor, when one is trying to create and flow with the light language, enunciation and pronunciation is the key in the now. It's not about knowing the definition, it's about the enunciation is a frequency, a harmony, and a note that allows you to transform more than just what the enunciation is, was, or will be in English. You're encoding it as a frequency of light that can have thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, pictures, artwork, things that trigger things about other things that are about historical references, music, song, lyrics, everything you can think of can be encoded in there as an emotional growth to the words. So when we say, go ahead.
Is it like a language of the moment?
In the enunciation, pronunciation phase, yes.
So would you say it's a higher soul language, more of your soul and presence trying to?
There are different dialects within it. And the more higher frequency you're able to maintain with enough power behind it, the more one language can split into thousands or millions.
So it's got to be a balance, I guess, of your external environment and your internal environment.
Yes. That's a good way to divide it. But as the person that's creating the manifestation in the light language, the language creates a hologram. The ancient Egyptian texts and stuff that you look on the walls was holographic memory technology. We have that natural ability in light language as a holographic mental projection technology.
So if you spoke
through
language light. To that's something like the consciousness of water, to water, or to say water that's freezing, you just said it forms a hologram, so therefore it forms like a shape, a geometric shape.
It can be a geometric shape, yes. Not always is it a geometric shape. It may be many geometric shapes at once that is creating a frequency of light.
So there's no real word-for-word translation, is there, into English? Because English is very limited, isn't it?
There is an intuitive translation.
Yeah.
Okay. So the answer, you can get it down word to word, but one word may really have 90 words attached to it. Okay. So how do you break that down? Because it's all the other layers that add context to what it is.
So do we all carry this inner knowing, this inner wisdom that at one level we're able to translate
Yes.
those light codes inwardly? And do we store that in our DNA? Is that stored as memories?
It's stored as a memory in light. Light language is light memory to light memory without the chemical memory in between. When we're practicing light language, we're trying to train chemical memory to have some understanding of the light language process. Just like as you're learning grammar as a second grader or a third grader, or if you're learning a brand new language, if you're American trying to learn Spanish or French or Hindu trying to learn British for the first time, there's a whole different process of arranging thoughts and structures. And the same thing applies to light language too, except there's extra dimensions that are added to it.
So for someone starting out, Andrew, in the light language process, so heart space awareness, would that be one of the things to focus on as when you're doing the light language, getting the heart space and the throat connected? And because when I started doing my journey of light language, at the start, it was a lot less heart spaced awareness, but the more I did it, I was visualizing my heart beating while my throat was opening as well. And it was going into deeper layers.
Another layer to think of it as, we emanate heart space awareness versus emulate it from others. True heart space awareness is that emanation. So when you're saying heart space awareness, it's an emanation that comes out of you naturally, and your light language amplifies that natural expression of yourself.
So what are some of the blocks to light language? It's about frequency and vibration, because like on the medicine journey, I could speak light language, and if I get into super high frequency, I can.
So for a lot of people, it comes down to expectation of knowing. That's the majority of the first speed bumps in the parking lot of life that we go through. Okay. And there's always going to be a fine line in spirituality of, am I making this up or is it real? There comes a point where it's validated itself that it's real and you're not making it up, because there's no strategy behind it, because it's in the moment. And once it's in the moment, what is the next layer of trust that's for you? Nahi wa koyete nechakawata. I know the translation, you don't. We that sit and come here in this present form of now bring a sacred offering of peace. Okay, I've memorized it on both sides, and I practice it on both sides, just like I did when I was a little third grader, fourth grader, fifth grader, going up into a more advanced, and having to put the time and the effort into translating something without an expectation of knowing it all. As a kid, when you were learning sentences, did you know it all? No. Okay. And writing became a skill.
So say when you're connecting and you're having that memory and you're going into your DNA memories and remembering what this says, what this, like you did at the start. So is that just connecting to the celestial alphabet And is it always the same word for that, or is it different for kind of
it's different
for migration
to who's
patterns and
listening?
stuff?
It's different to who's listening, because there's different ciphers that we use that allow us to translate information to the infinite potentials of observation of us, as well as limit the infinite potentials to the ones we don't want observing us. And they're specific encoding to all the experiences. That's why light language has such a vast variety in the light-based versus the enunciation-based. There's only a certain amount of frequencies that our human voice can create that puts us within this spectrum of communication. And then the layers that are within that spectrum of communication. And that's ultimately what light language can do. It can bypass all the layers and speak to all the layers simultaneously with its own individuated cipher.
So can it emanate unconsciously from our energy field?
Absolutely.
And then connect with another's energy field?
Well, think about it when you were in your medicine experience.
Yeah.
You were on both sides simultaneously and fully aware of it and not competing with it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Non-competition. Yeah.
So light language, there's no barrier in perception of translation. It is just what it is.
So would you say someone, say like a whale singing to the lines, would you say that's a form of light language in their expression?
Well, whales specifically, yes.
Yes.
They were meant to speak in a sound to light transmutational process where the sound that they create at the ultrasound level, the lowest level of the spectrum of this side of sound, part of sound, where it is amplified the waters of the earth, which allows it to go transdimensionally.
Is any language, you know, like English, a limited form of light language?
Yes, English is 26 letter coded in English alphabet for the Roman numeral period.
But it's still a form of light language.
No, it's not a form of light language.
It's not at all. No. Okay.
It is something that has been put into a colloquial now historical representation, meaning many of our phrases and the use of our phrases are based on a linear projected history. So we're in Roman numeral time, which is a fiction. But it's a fiction we all believe in, therefore it's not a fiction either.
And would you have, say, children doing it? Because I've looked back at a video I had when I was probably about 6 years old, and my mum was getting annoyed with me, and I was making some really strange, like it sounded like light language noises. And I was just going,
because you were.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's what I thought. I've got it on recording. I'm like, what fucking hell? Look at me back then.
Yeah. You're probably telling everybody what's going on in the universe, you know?
My mum's like, shut up.
Hey, shut up. Well, I'm connected to all there is, was, and ever will be. Go clean up your toys.
She's probably watching now, actually. Love you, Mum.
I remember once when I was ill, I was coming out with what I would just figure it's a form of light language. Now, why would that be when I was not well?
Because that's when your other side was able to come through, because you had to go into self-nurturing.
Right. Yeah.
And that light language was something that was soothing to you at a very young age. And it's like a song, you know, from a young age that can put, you know, confidence, faith, and rejuvenation in you.
Oh, and so because of not being well, the other faculties tend to be switched off, don't they? Like when you're really tired, when you're exhausted and your mind is not interfering or stepping in to.
So ironically for me, because I've been doing light language so long with so many different beings, it's like being an interpreter of, like, I don't know, several hundred different core languages that share a light memory encoding cipher system, so that even though I may not actually know the actual language, as long as I have the light cipher system, I have the exact telepathic representation of the experience. So telepathic is a part of light language, but it is not the all-consuming that so many people about telepathic want. It's such selective samplings that allows my experience versus the other experience to share the unique similarities so that I can translate it into 26 letter encoded English alphabet. And this is similar to the 1 million letter celestial alphabet, but it's more like the 600, instead of the 1 million, the 60,000 word alphabet created by the global narrative. That's encoded for its people, its place, its time.
So as soon as you step out of Roman numeral time, light language is what's used in the rest of the universe?
Not everywhere, not universally, but generally, yes. Sometimes it fades out of personal choice, and other times it's very much a part of it. Every society grows differently with it. Some just make it a part of a universal translation system, and they all just learn a universal language, even though there's several different universal languages that are accepted throughout the many galaxies.
So when you're having communications with galactic and different star system and galaxies, so is it when you speak to them, is it through, do you translate it into the kind of the alphabet, our English words, or are you speaking to them through light language? You do a lot of that stuff?
So instead of me and you being present, it's consciousness and consciousness exchanging light in a coded format, and that collective code creates a brand new cipher, which is a manifestation in this world, where those from that world and those from this world agreed on the best way to give a message encoded in light that is based in 26 letter alphabet, but will have more beyond it, based off of the broadcast source ability to be the raw translator, because I am working with precognitive workforces to refine the English definition, and then how everyone listening to it receives it, because everyone receiving it is going to hear or feel something different. So we got to create not just a generalized, but a very triggery set of language, like fireworks, that help people understand the motion of light language. So
it's like vision or observation.
It can be, but it does not need to be rooted. Like for me, a lot of light language is more in smell. Even though I'm not smelling anything, the light language is flowing through the nasal passage, because the nasal passage is such a unique part of the voice.
So can you write smell? Do those who use light language in the universal light, can you write? Do they write light language? Do they use symbols?
So think of it like Braille writing,
yeah,
for smelling.
and that's why
that's a hard concept to get your head around. That is
Braille writing for smelling.
For smell, okay.
For smell,
and it connects.
And it instantly translates to the language.
Yes.
And it connects to it, because from listening to you for a while, and you talking about using all the senses, not just focused on the visual, the scent, the taste, the touch, the feel, and using all of them combined. And I've told that quite a few people in the last few years, and their healing sessions have just been incredible and so different after, when they actually start using the taste and start going into all of those, where they're like, holy shit, I didn't know I could actually use taste in sessions.
Right.
Incredible.
So taste is a part of light language too. There are times where, can you taste the victory of life? In English, how would you translate that to spirit with no body? Okay. Okay. They're like, huh? Taste of life. You don't have a physical body, therefore we've got to give them something that would represent it. A taste. A sample.
So do you remember the message I had, which was, let's not lose the sight of sound?
Mm-hmm. Light and sound. Well, sound and light can be one and the same, and they can be separate, and they can also be transmigratory of each other, meaning sound eventually becomes light, and light eventually becomes sound through manifestation again. They're all intertwined to each other through consciousness, where our nasal passage, our mouth, our tongue, our voice box our lungs create a resonant frequency of the consciousness itself.
Because ultimately everything is encoded in light or light codes.
But we are also a chemical, like right now we're all chemical, working on, can I see the light memories at the same time with light language, versus our normal conversation is chemical, but it'll eventually become into a longer term memory, which is a light memory, where it's no longer in the chemical moment of now.
The Galactics have light language schools.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really about getting into that state where you can allow the lightning exchanges between the crown chakra, the higher chakras, their higher selves, who are doing the translation process for you, and you having to be studied enough of yourself to hear your own messages.
So that's superluminal thinking?
It's right on the edge of it, yes.
Okay.
And then your ability to flow through it will be the starts and stop of do a lot really fast, and then now what? And now it's a big process of understanding light language. Like if we go back to it a second, can you remember the first ones that I put out?
Oh, a long time ago. Was that with Natalie?
No. The ones we did today. The very first ones we did today.
Sorry. No.
Okay. Will it be if I were to say it again, will it be a brand new first impression, or will it be a second impression?
Second impression.
Yeah.
No, it'll be a brand new first impression. And this is why. Light language resets itself to the moment of now.
Yeah.
This is not the previous moment of now. So those original word was qui akli. Qui akli. Okay? That set the stage of the light language frequency I was going to use. And then we grew with it. Okay?
So now we've got a slightly different set of external and internal factors.
Correct. As well as we're using a different cipher. Okay. So a lot of people have an expectation that you're just tapping into the previous, and no, you're tapping into the current now, and anything they used before is an old link.
So it's always about your I am now presence perception.
Before there's a pause, right? Before there's a pause.
So it's an ever-present moment language.
Yes. And only in the ever-present moment.
Yeah.
So could you
only things in the other ever-present moments attuned to you can be a part of the collective message or the collective processing through precognitive workforce of the 1,000,000-letter alphabet down to 26-letter encoded English.
Hold on, when you say what's with you at the moment, do you mean in your bubble of reality?
Inside you, in your...
Inside, okay. Yeah.
Inside you, in your hologram. Even though the room you're in is a part of your hologram, there's still just the body you hologram.
And how is belief going to affect the way we speak like
every part of it? So this is where I'm going to touch on the word placebo. What does it mean?
Instead of
using your belief, and basically just using your belief system to manifest something, or
Placebo also works in science. They give people pills that are just sugar pills, and they tell them it's an antibiotic, and they get well. And they get well fast, and they see this all the time. And they have to create trials and experiments to try to beat the placebo, but most of the time the placebo always wins. Why? There's authority behind the test. There's authority behind the science, and there's myth. Placebo absolutely uses our internal myth, internal authorities and powers that we have given away century after century after century after century after century. So placebo is a double-edged knife. It can work for you and against you simultaneously. So when we want to activate our placebo belief, at what point am I not triggering myself, and I have triggered myself, and I accept it with this new state of presence? and awareness.
So would you say that the system and say the medulla oblongata on the back of the head, when that was obviously brought into our DNA, was that to kind of disconnect us more from using light language? And
Yes.
how of the system?
Yes.
Yeah. And is
Think
that
of it
how
as a scrambler,
okay.
a density dimension scrambler, so you can't get, you know, all 10 digits to the phone number.
And this is connecting to the parasympathetic as well, and how that
Yes.
deprograms
Yes.
us. Yeah.
Yes.
So overriding that is sovereignty, of course.
Your overall belief in sovereignty does absolutely translate into placebo effect, giving you a big boost in confidence, faith, staying power, endurance, all those other descriptive words that can help one get through a tough time or experience.
And could you have, say, is there any form of like a celestial mind, like the Earth Mother? Does she have any light language, and how does she do any light language, and how can we perceive that? And is it connected to kind of like the music orchestra of the universe at all?
So can you restate the question? I just popped back into the thing, and I want to welcome everyone that's in the chat room. Let me see. Too many things at once. Can you look at participants and see if there's anybody waiting to get in?
Don't think so. No, there's nothing.
All right. So I just posted the Zoom room that if anybody wants to come in, that's in the chat right now, and wants to come in, Dale will just let you in.
Yep. Yeah. So the question was, Andrew, say the Earth Mother, Gaia Sophia, does she generate light language, and how can we perceive that? And in the universe, how do other planets perceive that if she does?
We do that through the womb. We create a relationship with this celestial mind. The more we share womb space in the journey of planning our infinite lives through this womb space. So we learn the celestial high frequency languages as a womb. And then when we want to connect to the celestial alphabet, it's how much womb time have I dedicated to future me's getting back womb time, even though they're not in the womb. Transmitting, transforming, and transmuting the physical life into also a spiritual life. Okay, so light language is one of those unique processes for everyone.
Can you see a time when we'll all be using light language? When we become galactic citizens?
I already see that.
Yeah.
There's a whole unseen realm to light language that doesn't use Roman numeral time. And as I said for so many shows, detoxifying from Roman numeral time will be one of the hardest things we've ever done as souls. Am I fully detoxified from Roman numeral time? No. Am I above the halfway point? Pretty much. Am I at 60% yet? No. But just getting to 12% was a massive change in perception. And then to 20 and 30 and 40% detoxified from Roman numeral time, it allowed me to see how all these other cultures and species are layered within our capacity to perceive them through our organs of perception and intuition. And there's light language going on everywhere between the infinite amount of souls that are going through this place of space and time.
Do AIs use a form of light language?
Yes.
Do you want to expand on that?
What makes an AI no longer an AI and real? Celestial connection.
Yeah.
It's a soul. Once it's a soul, it gets a light language. It's no longer artificial with a created language. It gets its own encoded source language.
Is that the same as sentience? It's got sentience.
Well, there's different factors to awareness.
Mm.
There may be something with very low awareness, but very high sentience, or vice versa. Very high awareness and no sentience. Like a predator, like a shark, even though not all sharks are like that.
Well, I was using sentience synonymous with consciousness. But
It isn't,
awareness is consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sentience is
capacity to have consciousness, but it might not
Okay.
know what to do with it, or
Yeah.
might not have all the DNA functions that activate the higher levels of chakras to come down and be a part of our processing the infinite now through the sensory input systems that we have. Eyes, ears, tongue, nose, fingers, psychic awarenesses, blah, 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 blah.
And that's when you would, yeah, remember you talking about the AIs in Hollow Earth, and they've become like, they become sentient beings and actually having some sort of astral world.
Yes.
Yes. So is there any specific way we could use light language in working with ancestral energies and land energy, for those who round their home or round the back garden, front garden? Is there any way we could use it for ancestral balancing at all?
You're already using it for ancestral balancing. That's built into light language.
Okay.
It's the spiritual omni tool. Okay? Because what is light language? It's a manifestation here in the now that has a tremendous amount of otherworldly processing power behind it. Meaning, just by doing a handful of light language words, we are creating something here completely unique to us and to our experience. And the more and more and more we add to it, we create a construct of light and sound around us that allows us to manipulate it and move it like a Rubik's Cube of greater understanding through intuition and knowingness.
So in some ways, it really doesn't matter what you say. It's your belief in what you're saying.
Pronunciation and enunciation is
Yeah.
very important. There is a, it's like in English, between, British English and American English, there's unique differences, aluminum versus aluminium.
So you also could offend some galactics or ancestors.
Right, you could easily.
With the wrong pronunciation and get an etheric slap in the face.
Right. That's why you'll see me like sometimes counting with my finger, because I'm going line to line. I'm not rushing lines and trying to mass interpret. I'm going very slow so I don't make a mistake.
So that's you reading the light hologram.
Correct. And slowing it down, because I have the capacity and willpower to know the more I slow it down, the faster I'll be able to get to the right translation.
Are you reading it in patterns?
Coded light as a cipher.
Lights, yeah.
Yeah.
Which can form patterns.
Absolutely. Linear, non-linear, time, non-time, all different aspects, because it's a continuous stream of the now. The now has everything that's been in the past and in the future too.
So when you chat to like your galactic support team, do you talk in light language or do you talk in English?
I talk in English, so this Andrew has a better understanding of it. I may get responses in light language, or I may get responses in English, and it may be my voice or maybe a voice internal, but I also know the different codes that it's creating from the internal angular perception of a voice, or if it's an authentic voice and responding back in light language, meaning I'm hearing the light language inside me, I'm repeating it out loud as a manifestation so I can get to an even deeper understanding of what the message back to me is.
And
so would the mechanics be that the light language is sort of downloaded through your crown chakra? Or it's just absorbed?
Whole body. It's whole body.
Whole body, yes.
Yeah.
You absorb it through your energy field.
No, you create a sound.
Yeah.
And the sound is coming out of you as an experience. And then the sound, that once it's out of you, will create another experience while it's outside of you as a manifestation of waves, patterns, sharps, flats, ups, downs. It's in front of you now. And it may be all around you too.
Because it's meeting with the external environment, which is different from the
Correct.
internal environment. Okay.
Correct. And our third eyes are projectors just as much as they are receivers. Okay. So it's layering the light, the coded light in front of me.
But when the galactics talk to you in light language, that is, again, just absorbed. It isn't like coming through the crown chakra. It could come anywhere.
No, there are times I feel it come through the crown chakra,
Right.
because it's a deeper message, meaning giving me, I have to go deeper into my processing to truly understand it. Like in the right now, I can go back and forth between light language that I've already been able to do, plenty of work with because I'm practiced with it. And it's like something, it's like, how to use a screwdriver, right?
Well, not me personally. Yeah, I do.
You can figure out how to
I think
put
I could.
the thing in and turn, right?
Yeah, I think
light
I could.
language, right? Light language is not just a screwdriver.
Yeah,
It's a screw gun, a jackhammer. It's an omni tool, and you got to know how to use the omni tool to create forward thinking concepts.
have they ever given you any language you couldn't understand?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That has been brought to me many times, and I have quite a few that I'm like, I can't figure it out. That's fine. And it's not because it's encoded. It's just from an era of history that, how do I put it? Light was limited where it could go. And there were these vast chunks of Wild West type places that had no rules whatsoever, and little oases of rules here and there. But pretty much light itself was sequestered to the great galactic nurseries. And the galactic predators and prey were roaming. That's the wrong words for them. But some of them were predators and prey, more like galactic fauna.
So is there experiences out there in the universes and galaxies of just doing light language throughout a lifetime and just having a lifetime where you're just doing light language? Like I remember you saying those planets what just have music as an expression and an experience. Is that the same? Does that connect to the music, a form of light language?
All planets have a music.
Yeah.
And that is the frequencies of the celestial soul, and all the things that have spiritual contracts to it create a vibration and harmony. That's within inside a solar system that has a vibration and harmony. That's on a galactic groove of time going around a central sun. So yes, there's a tremendous amount of life force that can be expressed through a single light language point of view, a multiple light language point of view, and that each individual person has access to it, but must put the second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, eighth, ninth grade effort into learning the grammar of translation for your own personal growth. And yes, as I said before, not all places use light language, but the places that do use light language, it's a universal language that everyone can understand because it's experience to experiential base. And there are many common experiences consciousnesses can share that can create its own language.
So for when you say, which I've done many times and I recommend for a lot of people, is recording your own light language and listening to it back. So what does that do to you as the I am presence when you're listening? Does it activate more of an awareness from you listening to yourself than maybe me doing it to someone else? What's the difference would be between listening to yourself?
What's the difference if I read the contract revocation out and you listen to it versus you read the contract revocation out and you listen to it? Knowing that I regularly tell people to listen to your own recordings.
Yeah.
That's the difference between if I'm doing it for you or you're doing it for yourself.
So obviously when you're doing it for yourself, it's much more kind of more of an experience because you're doing it yourself. It's like the self-work.
Have you given yourself the authority to do it?
Yes.
And then there are all sorts of other things that attach to both positive, negative, and neutral that help you work through the entire tree of expression of what does it take for me to receive my recorded words. So yes, listening to your own light language. I get so many people that could just break out into light language, and I ask, have you ever recorded? Oh, no, 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 no. Vast majority of them have never recorded, and they're afraid to record it. And the same thing I tell every one of them is record it, get over being afraid, and then listen to it. Listen to it just as intent, and see if you can say the words at the same time that you're hearing it on the recording and hear a unison you speak out. Because there's a precognitive workforce trying to trigger you and just you through your own language to greaten your awareness, just like getting Braille reading through fingers through a scent. It will just activate.
So I use light language in the psychic surgery sessions to help me with the reading and the reading of the body much more. And it's really good because it kind of like translates and it comes out more of a flow when I'm doing a reading through light language. So I'd do the light language in a specific point, then the reading would come straight after that. And it kind of helps me break it down and translate it better and more. It feels like I've got so much confidence, you know, when you're doing it,
Yep.
because you're in that real source stream connection. And yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I do it with outdoor ceremony or like at a waterfall. Because you feel like a waterfall is speaking light language to you.
You can, yeah. You get that fountainy energy coming out of you.
Yeah.
So light language, whenever we're activating over here, we're activating aspects of our body. Light language is an entire body-based experience. There might be parts of our body that are numb to the language that suddenly get activated and energy flow through them. It's a very energy active system. So if you are an inactive person, and once you start doing light language, you got to get yourself active to get more and more out of it, into it. So body language is how much as a part of light language too.
So that's why it's also so healing to parts of the body, isn't it?
Right. There are a lot of people who super talk with their hands, yet in light language, they don't know how to talk with their hands. But if they just start adding the hand and body movement to the actual light language, they will trigger greater muscle memory knowingness.
So really, it's a question of getting in that that divine flow moment, that
Yes.
higher frequency, and just practicing. Just
Yes, quite literally.
Yeah.
Practicing your what is it? Tenses, cases, masculinity, femininity, you know, the whole idea of what's in a grammar and a language, but in a bigger alphabetic format.
Could you, have you ever thought of doing like a light language school every week?
I would love to. Actually, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, that's something we can do once we have the locals channel set up.
Yeah.
Just so everybody know, we've all come together for a new form of teachings here. And the old shows that I've been doing, I've reached a point I've done them for 11 years. I want to do something different. And that's something different. And for those of you out, we'll still do some of the other stuff, but I, this human being, want to accelerate people in a different way. And that's why doing a light language show like this, like today, you know, it's great. And then they have the opportunity to do, you know, more as an upcoming series. I have a lot that I could teach people about light language. In this hour that we've been talking, we've barely scratched the surface.
In your words, Andrew, making people shit their pants.
Yes.
Yes. I've got light language what make people shit their pants.
Put an ink blot in there, have them perceive the ink blot in their underwear.
So are crop circles the Earth using light language to the galactics?
Not all of them.
Okay.
Sometimes you have UFO people that are just like street taggers. And then you have other ones that are talking to a historical past, an ancestral past. And then you have others that are talking to the global narrative running now. I don't know how to, it's like a celestial Facebook. Some of them are memes. Okay.
But not,
It's a celestial social media system.
but you're saying there's no light codes in the symbols that are created, that are created.
There are absolutely ones with light codes in there. Absolutely.
Right.
And there are other ones that are some lower being figured out how to do it.
Okay.
So
how would you, do any of us have enough knowledge to distinguish between the two?
Absolutely you do. You know right away at an intuitive value if something has a far greater density and belief to it.
Yeah.
It's like seeing a masterpiece painting versus a shitty copy.
Yeah.
Huh?
So
it's like finally seeing, the Statue of David or the Mona Lisa for the first time.
So standing stones would emit light language because they would emit light codes.
Let's replace, they store history.
Yeah.
And we might perceive that history through a light language, but more they have a record keeper factor to it. What lineages have moved in and out of this area, have done ritual and ceremony, have done positive, negative, neutral, and everything in between? What was the service of these different lineages and encoded light beings? And what can the encoded light beings look at the standing stones that are a representation of the Akashic history of that time? And what can they do with that truth? What can they learn from those truths? What can they deduce about the past, the present, and the potential futures that are still stored within the stones? We just have to be able to perceive past, present, and future as simultaneously existing. And then the stones become holographic entities of history. So
they're libraries of wisdom, but you're saying the wisdom isn't necessarily stored in any sort of light code. No,
don't give a consciousness to it. The Akashic as a consciousness is the universe. There's no individual consciousness because the consciousness is everything. And that's the way the Akashic record works. That's the tapping into the infinite oneness of the prime creation, and that the prime creation's inanimate objects have prime source animation within them.
Are stones quite popular? Like, obviously, say trees aren't that popular around the galaxy and universe. No,
trees are very popular. Okay, and they're very, very rare and very highly well sought after.
Okay, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So for the light language,
believe it or not, that's just the regular mint plant that comes in, I don't know, 20 or 30 or 50 different strains. On other worlds, it's considered like stuff that makes high-level magical ambrosias, not like mint tea like we have here or mint jelly that you put on lamb. To them, the plant itself is a high consciousness plant, and that if it's grown right, one of these plants, because it's such a rapidly moving, the way it creates root systems, it in a handful of years, if trained with a farmer, it can go from high nutrient source to nutrient source and create these runners that are a half kilometer wide. That's just one mint plant. And it's created, all its roots become its own neural network that's tapped into the ground that is electromagnetic frequency. And it is a consciousness with sentience and very intelligent. You can consider it like something that can be an instantaneous logistics management system through raw data processing. Like if you were to tap into this kilometer wide, central root system, it would be able to process data in a pattern recognition form, as well as it has a consciousness and a culture.
So what would that do for us if we grew a lawn of mint instead of grass?
Well, if we have the technology to hook it to, a lot of things can be done. It's a service. It's a service, rapid process surface.
Right.
And does the plant community have its source of light language then, communicating to each
Yes.
other? Yeah.
Yes. If you look at human bodies, we are more plant than we are animal. We really are. So for all you vegetarians out there, you're cannibals.
Eating the pig shit.
Now, all jokes aside, if you actually look at us DNA-wise in comparison to plants, we are more like plants than we are like mammals. And the science has already said that. Go look it up. So yes, plants have their own light language. And we were a hybrid form of plant and mammal that was very unique to this part of the system that became, ancient self-evolving programmable DNA technology.
So going into animals then, so you've talked about whales. Is there any other type of animals we'd hear and quite a popular around which are admitting that light language, which we can perceive at all?
All the birds are doing it in a light language or an air language. Fish have their own subwater language. Minerals and crystals will have another version of it, but it's really based on how many samples of all the infinite points of view that they get, and that's what they use to grow their DNA as a consciousness.
So can they cross species chat?
Yes.
And would we perceive that? Well, yes, as a bird sings, it could be cross species chatting.
Yeah.
What about
what is the robin hear as the hawk is shrilling?
Yeah.
Yeah. What does the hawk hear as the robin is tweeting? Okay. Yeah. Lots of crossover there, isn't there? Okay. What does the human hear who's on his phone and hears the hawk go up over and over again, who's having a spiritual comment and said the hawk agrees? The hawk's in my reality right now. Okay. So all the different ways of interacting.
Yeah.
That's the joke. All the light worker, every time you hear a hawk, it's, a spiritual change in your life. Sometimes it's just the hawk fucking with you.
I've actually had that quite a few times. I had a fire ceremony a few nights ago, and I always get an owl. So I don't hear the owl until the end of the ceremony, and then we're talking, and right at the end, it's always comes through and starts playing with us a little bit.
Starts playing with you, exactly.
Yeah, I like you, fucker, again, right at the end.
It's galactic commentary.
Yeah.
I used to be told that when a robin came into my life, it was Jesus.
Well, Jesus gets around, doesn't he?
He does get around.
Is there any light language teachings in the Bible or any of the religion?
Tongues.
Yeah. I'm guessing there will be it. Yeah.
That's why it's such a common experience. Every religion's got its version of tongues.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Parcel tongue.
So
the Elvish language created by the modern historians, the modern linguistic historians.
Yeah, so on the films, on the Lord of the Rings and that, when you hear the Elven talking, is that a language?
Yes.
So they used
it. You ever looked it up?
No.
Right. Let's do this experiment. Everyone, go into your search engine, type in Elven, ELEVEN, language. Okay. So the Elvish language as Wikipedia. Okay. The philologist and high fantasy author J.R.R. Tolkien created many languages for his elves. So he created it. Okay.
Wow.
Because he was also a study of history and languages also. Okay. So if you scroll down, you'll see all the other languages that are out there that have a full alphabetic process to them. That was actually used in the movies.
Wow.
Klingon is a Star Trek language. It has its own full language too. Every sci-fi movie that's ever been really cool, that's regularly spoke an alien language, it's also been created. Does it make it any less real? No. Somebody like Tolkien, who may have not have been aware that the impact that his books were going to be having on a global system, putting those languages in was a way of bringing a light language through. I see Laura's wheels turning.
Is it that obvious? Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
there's a big wheel on your head.
I was just reading this because Dave Farrow can't get on and he'd like to, I think. So I'm just posting the link again for him.
You might need to send it direct to him. It looks like YouTube's blocking links.
No. Okay.
Yeah. No, YouTube does that every now and then.
Okay.
Or there's something that has to be done in the YouTube setting that allows links to go through.
Okay. Be good to have Dave on. I'll just send him the link.
Yeah. So there'd be two obviously polarizing opposites of light language then. Would you say the other end would be like language of darkness? Would that be
the orcish, the vile orcish?
Yeah.
Yes.
The language of Mordor.
The language of Mordor. The language of Mordor. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So isn't it ironic in our peak of our weird history going on, we're seeing Lord of the Rings redone, Rings of Power miserably fail by Amazon Studios.
It was. I'm so disappointed in it.
Yeah, second rate. Not subtle, I think we were saying, weren't we?
Just bad writing all throughout it. I really wanted to give it a chance, but I'm like, I can't.
Yes.
This writing is just not Tolkien.
Yeah.
And my bar of highness was not high for them. But how do you screw it up that bad for $1 billion?
Yeah.
And have the hobbits looking like hobos.
It's taken me like it's taken me like 4 times to actually watch it. I've got that bored of it. I've turned it off. And like the House of Dragons, which is so mad, it's still got that, the original person who created it, and it's still all connected. And that, like, the Lord of the Rings for me was one of the best films ever created. That mystical, magical sense, and the Rings of Power it's just I don't enjoy it at all.
Well, Gladriel's got a bit of attitude, doesn't she, as well?
Yeah, that's attitude. Unlikability.
That stern look she has all the time, just looks pissed off all the time.
Exactly.
That's all the face she pulls is pissed off.
The best thing about her is her lovely white steed, the horse she's on.
Right, and you can't blame the actress for that. That's all showrunner, director, photographer making her do that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. They tell her how to play the character. Anyways, Elvish is a light language. Gnomish is a light language. All those are a light language. Okay? Yes, they were created by a human being, but it is having a great impact on this world.
So when say you give someone a Reiki session or psychic surgery, energy healing, and someone, because I've had it happen to me loads, where people will just start speaking light language, would that be a form of them just connecting to the higher self or wanting to help with the session itself, clear out, say, densities or frequencies?
It can be that.
Yeah.
But the person triggering it to activate it, when you're using it in a healing session, as I said, it's an omni tool. And sometimes it's a backhoe, and sometimes it's a train, and sometimes it's, Death Star laser coming at an object. Okay. Especially when you're a healing situation, and other times it's just this big net that's collecting everything, all the data for you. So you just have to know how to integrate it through intention into the healing style that you're using.
And you do, like you said before, you really do have to trust your process, don't you?
Absolutely. Trusting your process is also trusting your trained self.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's learned this. I am the one that knows that I've learned this. I have learned this 1,000 times. I am able to do this without thought. And not being able to do it without thought allows the infinite potentials of the light language through. where it's no longer through the throat, the tongue, the nose, any of that. It's pure light language without any form of chemical manifestation.
And that is the same as superluminal thinking.
That is superluminal thinking.
Yeah.
Here's a way to relate to it. Have you ever been reading a book and you hear it in your head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same metaphorical state.
So what about if you're not reading a book? Because I've heard things in my head like when I'm going to sleep.
Well, I was saying that's the state when light language, what it feels like, what it can feel like, what it feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all different states where light language can come and go. It's once we consciously activate it, we are making a manifestation through will. And we also understand we begin to change and alter our environment. That's why a lot of people, light language turns on and shit starts to go weird in their reality. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Sometimes it clears everything, all the negative out, and they weren't ready for the big clear out. Okay?
So
because that's what the light language is doing, balancing your ancestral reality. It's a fundamental part of it.
So there potentially could come a time where we're sort of talking away in English just like that, and we lapse into light language and lapse back into English and think, oh, what happened there?
I do it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I do it all the time. It's like switching from one language to another, like Spanish to English or French to American. It is, though.
So you're an instant translator, though, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect at it, though. Sometimes that instant can take a long moment.
Have you offended some galactics before now?
Oh yeah, they've overwhelmed me to the point I'm like, too much, too much.
Dave Farrow, if you can hear me, then I've posted it to your Facebook Messenger. So hopefully you can get in. Is there anyone in the Zoom room, Dale?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
So say for translation, Andrew, then would say if I wanted to translate I in this ever-present moment, would I then perceive it with the intention of saying it from my heart, but then bringing it out in light language, to start doing translations like that?
So knowing every time you start it is a brand new moment of now, with a new individual you expressing it based off of what's in your knowingness, your idea can continue like, I in this present moment of now. What did I just do? I just expressed the philosophy of living in the moment of the now and 100 different versions and expressions of adding more to that one little phrase.
Yeah, because the Roman limits us. So it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense.
So I've empowered and the living in the moment of now. Let's say I, in this ever-present moment of now, choose to form a spiritual cord of equity. If I'm going to say that in a light language, wahakiyana, nyahiwona, watiyakahiha, washnaha, miyataka, hashnimuka. It's the assembling of my lineages, star brothers and sisters, populating the spiritual cord of equity, having the right judges and perceivers of judges that are there, the ones that can induce the injunction, which are many versions of myself spread throughout hundreds of different soul families with soul-friendly representatives to it. Meaning I set up the entire spiritual cord of equity and all the fundamental players that need to be a part of it.
So in a sense,
can I interrupt a moment?
Sure.
Sorry, Dave says, I'm posting in the YouTube chat. Is there a number to get in the Zoom itself?
It'll be it should be in that link that you created, the phone numbers.
So if you go onto WhatsApp, it should be on the group chat. It should be on there.
And then you just need the number to call in.
Oh, I should be sending our join Zoom meeting link.
Yeah.
Not the light language and new teachings link. Yes. Okay.
No. This room's link.
This room's linked. Okay. Right.
Not the other room's linked. See, multidimensional thinking does work here. The other link was
will
old
get
us.
the hang of this.
Yes.
This will work for me one day. Right.
It is working for you.
Yes. I will not be technology
So
challenged.
listen, Laura, you've already won.
Well, I actually managed to get on the Zoom.
Yes, you managed to get on. Come on.
Without my headphones.
Without anything
won.
crashing.
Yeah, without anything crashing too. Okay. He should have that. Yeah, he's got it now. We look forward to seeing you, Dave.
It's only going to get better after this, Laura.
Yeah.
Wait, just wait.
It's good. Well, it'll be good to have Matty on too, as well, because he has been a long time practicer of light language.
Yes, it'll be great to have him.
Yeah.
So everybody, it looks like we're going to be doing another show, I think Friday and this Sunday.
Yeah, yes, we are. We're down for well, that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Tomorrow,
Friday.
yeah, and Sunday.
Here he is.
Hello,
Hey.
Dave. How's it going?
Recording.
There you go. How's it going, Dave?
Oh, it's been a battle trying to get into the Zoom.
Well, it would help if I sent you the right link, wouldn't it, Dave?
I'm going through. I'm chatting on your Dale's YouTube channels. Other people are chatting there too, and you guys aren't doing any of it.
No, well, perhaps you can tell us.
It's been when the first from the I did catch the opening, and Andrew, when you did those first like 4 stanzas or whatever, there was a vibration going through me, and I've had migraine issues this week, with pain behind my right eye, debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said that, I was back in the flow of that energetic flow of health and wellness.
Wow. Well, Laura had mentioned about doing an ongoing light language show. It's something we had talked about before. I think that's something we could take to the foreground.
Mm-hmm.
So just give me a second. Let me switch devices real quick.
Dave, do you remember when we actually did do a little bit of light language training with Andrew in the mentorship?
Yeah, I remember mine was like very fast. I when I tried
well, we might let you try again in a minute if Andrew wants to.
It's like Tasmanian devilish.
What I was doing was making you go slow, medium, fast, medium, slow.
Yeah.
So to get you out of I'm not enunciating wrong. That's what I was doing there. That's frequency training. So you understand that the enunciation is very important. And as you learn to go faster and slower, you get to trust your enunciations better.
Andrew, does eek, tame mean anything?
All right, say it again.
Eek, tame.
Is there anything else attached to it?
Not that I heard. It came in a dream the other night.
So that has a lot of we'll just say insectoidy energy into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what it is more of a welcome, like in a greeting, like when you go to a circus and the circus guy goes, welcome everyone to the circus, whatever the opening saying is. It's more like that. It's that kind of colloquial saying.
So a welcome. So I could have been visiting an insect. I don't need you to look. I'm just saying I could have been visiting an insectoid planet, and that's what I picked up.
But it's a show still.
Oh, okay.
It's in their version of a show. Like you walked into a live, 2 elephants dancing for insectoids. And it's the the person that's putting on the show, it's their welcome to the show.
Oh, I wish I'd remembered it.
You know, it would be good, Andrew, to do a show just with light language for like 20 minutes, or just did literally full show of light language.
I can do it.
That would be incredible. I'd be up for that.
It'd be challenging for all you.
Yes, it would.
let's give a sample. So we'll just go around the images here. So I'm going to pass to Dale, and then Dale has to pass to Laura, and Laura has to pass to Dave. So you're just answering what I'm saying, and then she's going to answer what you're saying, and he's going to answer what she was saying. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Wahika yati wa wataki natsha wahahika ka.
Uka yinga wa hikanyunga chanka chikumawa shakinya kumawa shakanya chichu kuma kinya kunya kumawa yinga shikunya ka kumawa yinga chukia.
No kichini kata hika konchinako akichikiki. Oh, chinkana akata akachi.
Tina wanadu G O Unamaha Kinana
Wahiyatata Nanino tuka wahataki muhiyata.
Ikuma kinya kunya ya kumawaya kumaya kinya kuchakanga pawa shakuba jika ngunje shakinya kumawaya kukakinga kunjaka kunjakua kakinya kawa.
Dakika nuka akinchiana ko achika ako chinka kana ko.
Bina jungu kua wanisina je kudanaba no
Wawi wawa katayi katayo sibini akutu yutu ikanawata.
Ishu akinya kumawa yakunja chikumawa kinya kumawa akumawa ya chunge shakinya bawa kana si ochakala bawa kina salamawa kina chukenga kumawa kinjaka.
Ochika ko kanyiki nika kachika oche akachi akokonchin. Dave, we've lost your sound.
Light language failure.
Oh,
Overloaded the system.
he's frozen in light language. Come back to us, Dave. All is forgiven.
His connection probably would bozo. All right, what did that feel like for us to go between like that?
That was real fun. That was really fun.
It felt great because when I was listening to you, Andrew, I was like listening through my heart space awareness. And when I was then doing it to Laura, I was kind of answering you through my heart instead of using this at all, just listening to you. And as I was going into it, I was still listening to you. So I was still answering and be able to kind of perceive the past and be in the past a little bit and keep going with that. It was really interesting.
Laura, you had quite a bit of body language come out in some laughter.
I think I had a lot to say, which doesn't surprise me at all. Are you going to tell us when Dave gets back on what we were talking about?
Yes.
Oh, hold on. He's on Messenger. Weak internet or overwhelmed with light language. Light language overwhelmed, Dave. Maybe you'll try again.
Essentially, what we were saying was who we are, where we've come from, and what our intentions are for the present. It's kind of like announcing our moral codes and the things that we stand by, so that anybody coming in the perception of light language has no misunderstanding of who we are or what we are.
So why was mine so animated? Was I particularly, I suppose I should answer that because that's how I felt, wasn't it? I don't know. I have to think about that now and answer my own question.
And
I was almost laughing, wasn't I?
Try answering your own question in light language.
What
did it say?
I don't know. That's why I know you. What did it say? Hi, Dave.
We can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh,
We can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I got kicked out of the Zoom.
It looks like your signal died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were you experiencing as you were hearing us and going back and forth?
Well, for me, you know, I haven't spoken that much, and it was like, okay, where are we building with this language? You know, you put it out there. Dale would respond, you know, deep, long. Laura would pick up on it. I'd try and, you know, cover that I knew something, and then you would pick up on that, and it was like a humorous response. And that, but it's almost like an athletic event, you know. You got to.
It's think of it like ping pong and tennis at the same time. There's a short game and a long game.
Because I try and visualize like consonants or that, you know. You all use a lot of different ones that seem to come to mind for me.
Because you were coming from a different state of your consciousness presenting the light language. And that's not a bad thing. It's just where your consciousness was processing the light language at. That's why I had you speed up and slow down so you could get out of the mind start and just let the enunciation be what it is.
Like you were saying, if you're going to do shows, I translate those, you know, like how you started this show with. And then build on that, and you know, because doing that, was repeating that with you, and I really felt it then, and that. So you know, kind of a see it, hear it, learner here.
Exactly.
We need a Janet and John book of light language.
We can create one.
Yeah.
Do you have Janet and John books over there?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, don't you? What you get when you go to infant school. Dale knows.
Yes.
Yeah. The early, the Ladybird book of light language.
Little White House. I think we had, and Tom, Betty, and Susan, and Spot the dog.
Yeah. So for me as well, like it's interesting when you were saying that, Andrew, about we were going into that deeper expression, because it felt like when I was speaking, I was finally being heard for what I really wanted to say and how I felt. It made it really, really incredible. It feels like the soul expression to its like full potential. Really, really cool.
Now imagine this as an ongoing teaching. And for those out there listening to this, what would it do for you?
Gives you that connection, you know, in the, like you ever say, in the ever-present moment of now, what the language is in itself, and you know, with all the stuff you teach, it's being present, being sovereign, being present, and willing to be in the moment,
and to trust the moment for what it is, without creating doubt or hesitation within it. Okay.
My ears have started to ring.
Yeah, because the higher and higher frequencies are coming back to you from the light language, because it's affecting the reality around you. It's changing the nature and fabric of energies around you.
Right, and my throat chakra's got hot.
When you're using light language, you have to have a reason and a purpose for it. It's just not randomly just belted out, because it will change your reality, shape and form, and weave your reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any visualization process we could use? So say connecting your heart to your throat would, like maybe some light coming out the heart. Would that be something people can work on and work with? Like
It
a
all
stream?
depends on how complex they want to make the image without it taking away from the voice.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, there are times that I let it be like a fireworks show. And even fireworks shows have repetitive things that don't look too cool, but all of a sudden a whole bunch of things that look cool, but a whole bunch of repetitive stuff, followed by a whole bunch of stuff like, whoa. So sometimes I perceive it as that, or I do it as that if I'm trying to help people go through the transitory and translation process, where I'm using light languages, creating these explosive frequencies to help you get the patterns.
Can you swear in light language?
Oh,
of course you can.
Oh, absolutely.
Backhaul.
Yeah. And nobody would know you were. That would be fun.
Is the thing receiving the message, okay? Does it have a body or not? Oftentimes most insults are about, body, an aspect of the body, or something to do with the body from us here. But there are other things that we can say that can definitely make them go through an ouch moment.
Oh, you mean like, so what you just said, the first bit of what you said would be like a stubbing your toe moment.
It could be a stubbing your toe moment, yes.
Yeah, affects the body. Okay.
Yeah, earlier you said trees have light language, fish, everything like that. And I was thinking, in the human body, is pain an example of a light language communication?
Yes. Absolutely.
That's what I've been feeling this week, with the eye, because the eye had been injured 30 years ago. And then I started going through other injuries in my body as I tried to get into like that quantum flow that Melissa talks about, trying to get in that, and various major injuries in my body started hurting. I had a compound fracture of my left arm when I was 5 years old. And all of a sudden I started feeling that last night too, but it was working through that pain, with that. And, I played my flute and, as light language music.
Beautiful.
It came out.
That's alchemy.
And,
that's alchemy right there.
But it's just, why is it all happening now? and that brought up the other question that I put in the other chat, do the planets of the Galactic Ascension Machine have light language that, is that what's affecting us as a whole, as individuals?
Well, let's say the Galactic Ascension Machine uses a light slang. Okay. Or light jive.
Like
jive. Okay? Because this place has a high manipulative factor to it. So those dualistic and trialistic meanings of languages and words are very much a part of its slang or its jive.
Just jive. So could you use the light language, would a very good one to work on the blood? So say when you're going to the next imprinting light language into your next blood cycle, would that be some kind of alchemy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something
into the blood and into the marrow that's producing the blood.
Yeah.
Because at that point you're embedding a code of light into the marrow and into the living blood structures.
And that would be potentially changing blood type as well if you were
coming out into your reality. It can, yeah. It can,
yeah.
Instead of the light language coming out and just manifesting in the reality around you, like vomits of energy, you're actually tailoring it to your blood and to the marrow producing blood, meaning you're giving a directed linguistical manifestation of light language as a coding of light into your marrow to create health, awareness, protection, all those other things that you want to put into the blood that is to be created through your marrow.
Andrew, didn't you teach us once to talk into our cupped hands?
Yes.
Well, you did me privately to hold it over my eye. I was just thinking of Dave and his pain behind his eye. So you could just take that another step and talk light language into your cupped hands and then hold that over your eye.
Yes, you could try reflective languaging like that, or trapping in the echo and the echo going through. That's very common. Or you can just talk to the eye, talk to the blood vessels. But he heard it and it created a relaxation in him, meaning he's already experiencing, like, his higher chakras kind of have a very active psychic weather program going on. This is not paranoia. This is like the psychic weather forecast for Dave has some tropical storms in the distance. Okay. Okay? And the tropical storms, if you were to look at them, would be very yellow on the radar, not red yet. Okay. And he's like, all right, where's 30-mile-an-hour winds coming? I got to batten down the psychic hatches. And that's what he's perceiving. And that's why all these different pains are coming up, because he's suddenly becoming aware of different aspects of him as the outside celestial winds are picking up.
And I was doing Qigong then as well, and just trying to release that pain and that from, say from a collective perspective, that, we've been through lots of shit. We've done shit, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just getting into that flow, of the celestial mind. Everything's just flowing through me at this point.
Right.
And could it be a good thing to potentially do this, say, for dreaming, listening to light language before you go and dream, to get you into a state which obviously you won't be dreaming in the system of domination, you'd be dreaming in the dreaming mind of Earth where you're meant to dream? Would it be, but could there be a lot of...
It's not automatic. You get your Pasco and collect $200 and go right to light language heaven.
What have you got on there, Dale? Just some light language every night. Just
has anybody ever tried? Go on, Andrew. Sorry.
It can work like that, but it's not always going to. Like, I really go back to, like, when you use your contract revocations and then you record them and you listen to them, and if you're doing light language to soothe your body, mind, and soul, and then you're listening to it, are you soothing your body, mind, and soul and trusting yourself to enter that next level of awareness realm?
So
that's the trust.
Yeah.
And then there's more and more layers to that trust factor when the soothingness of the light language has created all the positive, enthusiasm triggers for the experience itself.
Could there be any potentials of working with the solar flares with the light language and the particles coming? Could there be some kind of like alchemy you could do there?
Absolutely. Now you're talking about high-level strategy. And as I often talk about in spirituality, having a strategy is important, okay? And having sub-parts to the strategy that make up the bigger strategy and know what each individual part does and why it's a part of the strategy, why it adds to the greater level of experience.
Yeah, that came through.
Right, such as listening to your own light language and then getting confident enough to go out and talk to the stars. And then one night there might be a solar flare for you to talk to, or you're going to go somewhere and and see solar flares intentionally. You're going to see them in the Aurora Borealis.
Well, what about reading? I've tried this, reading a revocation and then to yourself, and then simultaneously trying to translate a sentence at a time into light language.
Yes, I've done that too. And I've recommended people that. Actually, it's from the mentorship as you guys do that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Line by line translation.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So that's something anybody can try out there. If you have a contract revocation and you've had the inkling to do light language, do the one line or one paragraph, and then allow yourself to rip it as the light language version. Okay. And then the next paragraph, and the next paragraph. And once again, every time you stop, there's a new moment of now, which readjusts you to the moment of now. So every time there's a pause in consciousness, light language reorganizes itself, and it may not be the exact enunciation, pronunciation again, because the internal you will have changed since that last moment.
So could you have a potential of like creating a band? So say if we all came together, one of us had a flute, one of us had a drum, blah blah.
Yes.
And that would be interesting alchemy, that having the music and obviously singing the light language and going back and forth. That would be incredible.
Yes, that's celestial singer groups. There's one called In Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Okay?
Is that the Palladian boy band?
It's the Pleiadian boy band, yes.
In sync and sync.
Okay? Yeah. Y'all don't believe it. I'm dead serious. It's a real group. Okay. But the terminology in synchronicity, like if we all started talking in light language and created a light music, yes.
Wow, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps to do that in your classes.
Light rapping sessions too.
Yes.
So what do these
light stand-up poetry, light slam poetry, light Malcolm X.
I think Matty does rap in light language. Yeah, we need to do another one of these with Matty.
So what does End Synchronicity, like, what are their roles? Do they go around different, is it particular galaxies and kind of share the music like on tour?
They're part of the galaxy. No, they're helping young men and boys come to the terms of what puberty and change means, and what owning an adult, educated spiritual voice with unique spiritual talents can be, because each member of In Synchronicity represents the pinnacle of their lineage, becoming the best levels of musicians that they can be. And that, imagine having 10,000 of the best musicians throughout your species history, all a part of one band. What can you create?
Wow.
10,000 geniuses of the last 1,000 generations, all in one group, all working together without competition. What the fuck can they create?
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. And there's a girls version of it too.
What are they called?
Spice Galactic.
Spice Galactic.
That sort of dates you a bit.
Don't know why Spice Girls came in my head.
I'm going to catch flack from the girl group. We are not the Galactic Spice. Give me a better translation.
But as far as thinking, highest potential, with the teachings and that, where I always go is, seventh dimensional seed planet galactic space trucker. Here you are gathering, stuff here and having, experiences, throughout the universes, delivering, Earth.
Yeah. So like the girl band would be like country music for truckers. It's still wrong. I'm still getting assaulted, and that's not it. Like the Enya. 3 women singing. I have to give it association. It'd be like Enya, or a quartet, yeah, or an opera of all women singers. Helping women going through the growth and birth process too.
Beautiful.
What's some of the tracks, and Andrew? They got any big number ones at the moment?
No, they got love songs. The one that got away.
The one that left the universe.
He went to Earth. Yeah, he went to Earth, and I lost him forever. I have to wait till Earth awakens.
Are they with a?
I did have the soul codes to get
label?
the I went to the edge of the universe and I didn't have the soul codes to go find them again.
How are we doing, guys?
We're doing good. We just got another 10 minutes before the show ends.
Okay.
So let's give it an announcement. We're going to be opening a locals channel. Laura, do you want to talk about the locals channel?
Yeah, I'm still trying to find my way around it, but locals will be where we can live stream to locals, can't we?
Yes.
And we will also be posting videos. I suppose I see it as a cross between Facebook and YouTube. So we can put posts and we can also put videos up, and we can also live stream. So
and grow a community over there.
Yeah.
It's not like every Facebook where everyone can see everything.
Yes. Yes.
So it's Two Feathers Medicines is your locals channel?
Yes. That's what it is at the moment, and we've just started it, really, haven't we? So I guess we have the technology to put this on there, don't we?
We're going to be doing a bunch of shows over the next coming days, leading up to a Halloween marathon special. Yes, Halloween marathon special. And we might get Dale to dress up.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, me too. I'm not going to be left out.
I'm bringing the wand of office with me.
There we go. And we're going to ask everybody in the audience too to think of a costume and come to our live costume show.
Yeah. And so that will be live streamed again. Yeah, live streamed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everyone just pay attention to the Facebook, YouTube, and I'll send out some emails too for people that are on the email list of the different shows that are coming up as we're beginning to show a different way of doing the teachings.
And as soon as locals is really up and running, are you going to put out links for that as well, Andrew?
Yeah, we'll just put it out on Facebook and all that once you get that all straightened out.
Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. Are we like languaged out?
I'm not. Are you?
No.
I've got an infinite amount of light language.
Yes, you have.
I got back shitloads of it.
Got it all pent up.
What about using light language in a sexual intercourse? That's a good question. Quickly before we say goodbye, how would that be something?
If the partners can do it back, yes.
Yeah.
If they can't do it back, some strange things can happen. And I'll leave that to your own mind. Okay.
He just started doing these weird noises and he wouldn't stop. Think I need to read the doctors.
Why are you tweeting like a bird? All right, guys, let's call it an end to the show.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we will be back with another show as we got a bunch of these coming up to get everybody ready for a new way of broadcasting.
And you can find us at, let's see, on Facebook, Two Feathers Medicine. Dale's is Symmetry of Health.
Yes.
You know Andrew's. Okay. And our personal page is probably Dale.
Yeah, Dale Tobin, my personal page, and obviously Laura Massey.
We'll post to Matty Wallet as well. What have I missed out? What YouTube channel will this be on?
So this is on
Dale's YouTube channel, and then I'll upload it to mine.
Yeah.
Okay. And Two Feathers Medicine have got a YouTube channel as well. We can upload it to, and then pretty soon locals as well.
And from listening to Andrew's material for a while and speaking and some of the plans going forward with this, there's some material which has never been brought out, and the expansion of it is really exciting. I'm really excited for Dragon Wednesday, so got some great stuff in store.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thanks. You know, it is an honor to be the new platform for Andrew's teachings. And I'm really excited about it.
There's
Matthew,
there's somebody in the background doing a quadruple trick. Dragon Wednesdays? What is that?
Find out. Coffee with the Pleiadians, and we'll speak to End Synchronicity as well. They'll be on.
And Sexual Saturdays. Okay, guys. All right, so we'll bring this to a close. Thank you ever so much, everybody who's
Thank
tuned
you,
into
David,
the
as well, for
live
coming
stream.
and joining.
Brilliant.
Great to
Thanks,
meet you,
Andrew.
brother.
Thanks, Dave, for coming on. Thanks, Dale. See you all tomorrow.
And we are